From the NewsTalkSTL studios in St. Louis, it's the Right Mind Show with Todd Schowalter. On tonight's episode, Andy Polacek and the St. Louis City Audit, Gary Weigert on Mary Elizabeth Coleman's failures on IP reform, and the Right Mind studio band, Mitch Murphy and the Murphy Tones. Now, putting the fun in your dysfunctional world, here's your host, Todd Schowalter.
Hey, Joey, does anybody here at the station by any chance have Joe Biden's phone number? I don't think he has a cell, but does anybody have just some way of getting a hold of him?
I think him and Mike Tyson are the only ones that still use messenger pigeons to send the critical information back and forth.
Yeah, okay. Well, between the two of them, but I don't know. I think we've got to reassure Joe somehow that there's no way that he cannot lose being the worst president of all time, because now apparently he's trying to start World War III or something with allowing Ukraine to use American missiles and stuff like that if it hasn't already happened. I mean, does this guy need any more confirmation that he is, yes, indeed, the worst president of all time? I think I just got to get a hold of him so we can assure him of that.
Mr. Putin is trying to nuke us again. Again with this guy. Every week he's like, if some little bitty country just happens to use a nuclear country's weapons, that's an act of war and I'm going to explode you. When has anything Russian worked? I had a Russian microwave that couldn't nuke anything.
You had one too?
Yeah.
Oh, enough of this. Let's just get a hold of Joe and just let him know that he is, in fact, the worst president of all time. We'll do that and we'll save the world. But back to Mike Tyson. Let's talk about that.
Hey, Mr. President, did you see my fight? Did you see my fight on Friday?
I think he's like Michael Jackson. Did you stay up late and watch that?
I knew that the fight was going to happen between, 7 p.m. and maybe 11 p.m. So what I did, Friday night, I went home, I edited the Right Mind Show as quick as I could.
Oh, yeah.
And then at about 10 p.m., I made myself a beautiful sandwich. Oh, you should have seen the stacks of salami that I had.
Salami.
And then I walked downstairs to my gigantic TV, and I turn on Netflix, and it says, buffering. Here's some pixelated stuff. I think it's two people fighting. So I'm take a bite of my sandwich, and I said, let's see if we can figure this out. And then, boom, Netflix kicked me out. I was kicked out of the entire app. I go back in. Buffering, pixelation.
Exactly.
Just two ladies fighting, I think. So
that was a good one.
I was so frustrated. I said, I'll come back at midnight when this whole thing's over and watch it. And that's what I did.
Well, I watched it on my phone. I actually had good reception on my phone. But I don't know if you noticed, he did lose. And I mean, were you surprised that he lost?
It sounds like we're all going to Monday morning quarterback this. 2020 hindsight is 2020.
Right.
And so, yes, I could tell that he was just collecting a paycheck. Oh, he's getting paid $20 million not to fall down.
Right.
I'm just going to stand there and block punches the whole time. Why beat up on this kid if he's going to just give me – that guy just gave me $20 million. I'm going to be nice to him.
I would have done it.
Did you see at the end that Jake Paul, he bows down with 10 seconds left to maybe show, hey, Mike Tyson, you're the greatest of all time. Oh, if he would have just uppercut
knocked the hell out of him, yeah.
Oh, that would have been great. Just a final blow.
Well, here's the thing, though, my friend. I knew he was going to lose. And you know how I knew?
Because you had money on it?
No, I did not have money on it. But when I heard that fight, that they were going to start actually later than 9 p.m., I mean, the guy is my age. Okay,
he's 58.
No, I'm in bed by then. Okay, that's my story time with my wife. That television story time. That is, we're old. We're both old. And so, I knew when that was going to happen after 9 o'clock. I thought, there's no way he's going to be ready for bed, just like I was. And there he is. He's out there shuffling around, just like I am when I have to get up to go to the bathroom. And I knew that he was not going to win that fight.
And I saw a beautiful clip. His son, Mike Tyson's son, was interviewing him in the locker room, and he said, go get him, Dad. You're going to be the best. Make the family proud. And Mike Tyson kissed him right on the lips and turned around, and his bare booty was out there on live TV.
The moon came out, didn't it?
His cheeks don't even separate anymore. They're just droopy, saggy, maybe like ours will be in the future.
I think they grew back together after his prison time, because I heard he was quite the date.
You got to watch yourself there.
I have to watch myself there. Here, I'm watching myself. I don't see anything.
I hear there was, Netflix can make this up, but they say, people who make up random numbers just for fun, there was over 100 million people that tuned in and then were kicked out. Can you imagine the bartenders, the lady bartenders at all the Hooters around town, trying to just friggin' play with these stupid remotes because it gets kicked out of the fight over and over, and everyone is mad, and they're yelling at their waitresses, and they had no control over it.
No, they didn't have any control. I thought it was my television at first until I saw everybody in the entire world on social media complaining about it.
I bet a lot of domestic assaults happened that night because of this fight.
I think so.
Husband was like, "Fix the TV," and then slapped his wife around. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. You know what's going to happen next?
No.
Christmas Day.
Yes.
There's a big football game.
Which one?
On Netflix. It's like Steelers and whoever they're mad at.
Oh, okay.
And it's usually a rivalry where they're really mad at each other.
Yeah.
Steelers-Packers, does that sound like something? Christmas
like
Day,
that.
Netflix is going to carry that game.
Okay.
And if they don't have it figured out, can you imagine if a real sport is playing and people get mad?
No.
Oh, my goodness. And they have Beyonce, who's going to be performing during the halftime
bugs
show.
me. I mean, that Beyonce, I think she's way overrated, like 90% of all the other so-called artists, you know? From what I understand, she decided to be like a country person now, and she can't sing country. So who's that ugly guy that she's married to? What's his name?
Mr. Jay-Z.
Mr. Jay-Z.
I'm not calling him ugly, but that's how I know
an
who
ugly
you're talking
guy.
about.
I'm sorry, he's ugly. But apparently he paid all the radio stations to play her song, and that's how she got airplay. Now, you and I could be big country stars if Jay-Z would like put us on the radio and pay for it, don't you think? Kind of like this show right now. Do you think Jay-Z's paying to have us on this show? No, this is raw talent, isn't it?
I think we're similar to Jay-Z. We're so rich, we do not care about our hair anymore, and we just let it go wild. And that's the life that he's living. He's got some crazy tumbleweed going on up there, and good for him.
Yeah,
he doesn't care anymore.
Speaking of hair, you know that I just had the old mullet trimmed up yesterday, as a matter of fact, and Sarah, who is in here on the show.
Past and future guest, Sarah. I love
exactly.
her social media. Hair by Sarah, whatever it is. Look it up.
Yeah.
I got you close.
Well, hey, you know, she told me the big news right after she was, because she was talking that, you know, she's a single woman, she's looking for somebody, and we had somebody here at the station that was practically stalking her. We won't mention names.
In a friendly way, a respectful stalking.
Oh, respectful stalking, yes. But right afterwards, she ended up meeting somebody that I attest to being here on the show, and now they are just, from what she was telling me, she's just madly in love with this guy. So we did it again here at the Right Mind Show.
STL Hair by Sarah. She came on the show, said she was looking for love, and then love found her.
We certainly did, and I think you and we're like the Cupids of radio.
And she's, I think, maybe a bodybuilder still, definitely was before, and she carries scissors around, so she will not put up with any junk.
Nope. And apparently, her big thing was she wanted somebody that was emotionally available. Now, I don't really know what the hell that means, but it sounds very kind of like feminine. But she said, no, this guy's not feminine. He's like a real strong hockey player type of dude, and he's able to show his emotions.
Yeah, what happens when you get really rich is you don't have any worries anymore. So that's coded language for, I'm looking for a rich guy.
Now, wait a minute. You joined me on what is known as getting off the family text thread, which I have done, and now I hear that you have joined me in this little endeavor. Isn't that fun?
Yeah, the girlfriend, she has her side of the family on a whole text thread, and they decided to invite me in a couple of years ago, and I just got so tired of the dings, dings, dings at all hours of the night, and instead of figuring out how to mute that, I just left the thread completely.
Yeah.
And oh boy, it leaves a paper trail.
Yeah,
apparently,
it does.
Right after I did it, my girl turned to me on the couch while we were watching TV, and she said, "Did you leave the family thread?"
Yes.
Her sister said, "Joey, get back in here." But I had already left.
No.
But that's what she posted in the family thread when she saw that it said Joey had left the family thread.
And it's a big deal.
I feel very relaxed now, actually.
Don't you? I feel like totally. I mean, it's almost like I had this weight lifted off of me, because on my wife's side, her family thread, and she's going to kill me because I'm not supposed to bring her up, much less her family. But I mean, I would be on this thread and be like, and I would post something. Oh my gosh, my grandmother, she just got ran over by a steamroller, and we're trying to scrape her off the street.
Thoughts and prayers.
They would no, not even that. It would be like, oh, I'm getting my nails done later today. And what? I just told you Grandma was run over by a steamroller. Oh, I hear that Yaya's has a wonderful appetizer. Doesn't anybody care about Grandma? So I finally just said, I'm not going to be on this thread anymore. And I left. And that's what I did. And I never went back. And you know what? That's the first time they noticed me. They noticed me by not being there. So good for you. Good for you.
Immediately, the one sister that I'm having some sort of dispute with, I don't know what's happening.
Happens.
She messaged me again and said, "Oh, I'm so sorry that you left the thread." And I sent her a heart emoji, and then I left that thread as well.
Good for you. You and I ought to start our own thread just for people that, we don't want on it. It could just be you and I. Actually, we do have that thread, don't we?
I feel very powerful with the condescending heart emoji.
Oh yeah,
boy.
I like that too.
I'm not going to respond with words, but here you go. I'm handing out hearts left and right. Everyone gets a heart.
Well, they would always send me like an eggplant. What the heck is an eggplant?
I don't know. I put that in there once, and they just didn't believe me that I love eggplants.
No, they said...
You slice them up, you put them in the oven with a little bit of Lowry's on it. Oh, I love eggplants.
Well, they keep saying you're an eggplant. And I'm like, what the heck? Well, I've been called all kinds of things, but I've never been called an eggplant.
And then someone else posted a peach, and that made me hungry too.
Yeah. What's this all about? Is there like a dictionary for these emojis?
I doubt it. Eggplants and peaches. Text in right now if you know what that stands for.
Yeah, I don't know. Apparently, I'm an eggplant, though, according to them. Yeah.
Okay, I just Googled it. Apparently, it stands for wieners and butts.
Wieners and butts?
Wieners and butts.
So which one is which?
There's no way to tell. That's all they said.
Oh,
now,
wow.
Speaking of wieners, there's a bit of bathroom controversy on the Capitol.
Well, tell me, what's going on?
Delaware elected a transgender representative.
Trans what?
Transgender.
Yeah.
And Nancy
Democrat, I bet.
Yeah, I believe so.
I knew it.
And then Nancy Mace, she's also a representative.
Yeah.
She is very upset that she's going to have to share bathrooms with this transgender
Nancy Mace is?
Nancy Mace is very upset. And Speaker Mike Johnson has ruled that no transgender women are allowed to use the women's restroom. Now there's rules about that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you think about bathroom stuff in general, but I find
do all
it
the time.
Really fun when I go to a place like the Alamo Draft House where they have a sign that just says toilets.
Yeah.
And then you walk in and there's like 10 women in there.
Right.
But every single person can choose from their own individual little stall with a locking door that goes floor to ceiling.
Yeah.
So the real shock is the first time you walk in, you think you did something wrong. You're like, Alamo, you trying to make me look stupid. But no, that's how they do it. I don't know if it's cost cutting or if they're a liberal company or something like that, but everyone shares the same sink. But then you can use whatever bathroom stall you want. And I kind of like that. Just, hanging out with other people whenever you want, making friends. Yeah. That's why I eat at the cafeteria.
Of course you do.
I just want to make friends with old people.
Well, I get confused, though, because I know exactly what you're talking about. But I've been to, I know a lot of things, but I'm not like a big foreign language guy. And I was at this seriously happening. How many times do I have to say it? Everything on the right mind.
Seriously.
94.2% true. Factual. And so I was at like some Mexican place, and in Spanish they had like senor. I didn't know they had it was in Spanish what the senorita, whatever it was, and I was like, I don't speak Spanish, so I just went back in the kitchen and peed in the sink.
Outback, same thing. They say Sheila's.
Yeah, what is that all about?
And then I guess that one's not that hard because Sheila is in Sheila, but still, it's not a word I was very comfortable with. I didn't know what it meant.
Yeah, well,
and I had to find out what a Sheila was.
Do you actually go to the bathroom in the shower? That's a big thing. I mean, because apparently, sometimes I've found, and I'm not talking number 2. I'm just talking
Waffle stomp is number 2.
Yes, no,
that's where you have to stomp it through the grate.
I don't do that. I don't do that. But I mean, I just bring this up because this is another one I can't. I'm sorry. I'm just going to have to bring her up. My wife, she has OCD about cleaning, but in a loving way. She's wondering. I'm glad it's that instead of being a slob. Mm-hmm. But she had said to me, she said, "Are you peeing in the shower?" And is that something to ask? Would you ask your lovely girl that? Would you? I mean, I wouldn't ask her that.
Why would she ask you if she does not want to know the answer? And if she can't prove it already, like if she has no proof and she's just asking you, then what is she in for? Just to be let down, obviously.
Well, is there
everyone pees in the shower? It's warm water. Every day I saw another movie growing up of some kid getting his hand put in a bowl of hot water in camp. It was everywhere. Everyone was peeing at camp with hot water bowls.
But it saves so much time too. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you think of,
it's the greenest thing we do.
Well, it is, and it's all going down the same drain anyway, along with the shampoo and whatever that's got soap in it. So it's probably that drain is probably more clean than the toilet. Mm-hmm. But how do I answer? Because either way, and I don't like to lie. I don't lie. I'm not a fibber. Are you
have
a
to
fibber?
Put it back in her face and say, "Doesn't everybody?" Or I've heard people do that. What about you? I don't know.
Yeah, no. But what do you call that? What do you a stomper?
A waffle stomp.
A waffle. You have all kinds of terminology that I'm not aware of.
Well, if you have a stand-up shower that's just shower only, and you've got a grate that's in the shape of a circle in the bottom, and it has the squares in it, when you stomp on the number 2, it kind of looks like a waffle.
Oh, I get it. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I'll have to try it. No, I can't because she's already mad about me peeing in the shower. If I did that, I don't know what would happen.
Tell her, no, I only pee in the back of the toilet. Upper deckers
the
only.
upper decker. That's the one where she sits on my lap.
No, that's a double decker.
I knew that was something like that. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Well, we do have a big show, though, today, and when we come back, we're going to find out all about it, and you are, too. In the meantime, I'm Todd Schowalter, along my bestest buddy, Joey V. This is The Right Mind Show. We'll be right back.
Coming up next on The Right Mind Show with Todd Schowalter, Andy Polacek talks about auditing St. Louis in order to expose corruption.
Are you like me and you like great books? Well, I found a place that has a lot of great books. A traditional publisher right up in Macon County, Deep Read Press. DeepReadPress.com, that's the website to find out exactly what they have. And again, they got traditional books. They are a traditional publisher. Deep Read Press does a lot of things that I particularly like, and most of them has to do with great books. So if you're looking for a publisher to publish, or if you're just looking for a place to find a lot of great books, it's Deep Read Press at DeepReadPress.com.
Welcome back to The Right Mind Show with Todd Schowalter on NewsTalkSTL. And now a man who is such a pacifist, he won't go anywhere near Canada on Boxing Day, Todd Schowalter.
And we're back. I'm Todd Schowalter, along with my buddy Joey V. And on the line now is, I want to call him Joey, the sheriff of St. Louis, because he's getting ready to really nail him to the wall with this audit. Andy, you finally submitted the signatures. The audit is underway, I guess. What is the latest and greatest on you bringing down the city of St. Louis?
Hey, thanks. So the summary is we collected, and we had a last-ditch effort to do it. We were afraid we weren't going to get it there. We collected over 7,100 signatures. The large turnout in St. Louis City. Obviously, lots of controversial things going on the ballot and for president as well. We got 7,100 signatures, which is 350 more than we needed. A lot of times you'd be worried about that because the process is it's gone for 10 days for people to be able to remove their signatures. It was published on the Secretary of State's website. The 10th day, I believe, is tomorrow. To our knowledge, no one has actually submitted signatures to remove that. So where it goes from here is the Board of Elections of the city of St. Louis goes through the signatures and verifies that they're registered voters, if they can tie them to people. They're undoubtedly going to throw some out. A lot of these signature campaigns, which these days for these amendments tend to be kind of fraudulent, they misrepresent, so on and so forth. They go door knocking. We have a very high quality pool of people we collected signatures from. Mm-hmm. So we're going to be very suspicious if they throw out things. We even have an attorney ready to go. If they do, we get to see what they threw out and kind of challenge it. So we're hopeful it goes through. And then from there, the state auditor starts to work with, I don't know if you've seen, but I've been in the news a little bit. So
I have. You're quite the celebrity.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Not what I did it for. I'll tell you, the good thing that's come out of this that I think is the most important thing that I think your listeners would really want to hear is there is a new coalition forming between conservatives, moderates, independents, people that aren't even political, and North City black Democrats, historical Democrats. I don't know if they're going to be Democrats forever. But what's happening is, and it's actually interesting if you think about it from a political science point of view, the corrupt progressives, which have taken over, combined with, I would say, corrupt corporatists, which have taken over, they're the same thing, the Democratic Party, have effectively thrown the black community to the wind. They've realized it. Right. And I think what's happening is they're going to be trapped because they're either going to have to choose to change and go back to their kind of liberal and annoying but not insane points of view, or lose the black community. And so, and my view is, look, I've worked with a lot of these folks in North City. You have the stereotypes, but there's a lot of good people up there, and they've kind of been trapped in a bad situation for a very long time. I went out and partied with them in North City. I mean, we just got drinks and whatever, and they work hard. They care about stuff. They're increasingly sounding more conservative. They don't like this woke. They just want their communities fixed. And who the hell doesn't want North City fixed? I mean, you got to be a jerk to say that.
You talk like that on KMOX?
Do they let you say the S word on KMOX, Andy? Because you were...
I don't know. I don't think so. The KMOX guy was actually really good to us, and so was Ty at Fox News. Even the Post. I mean, these are not organizations I normally trust, to be honest with you. But I will say Fox News has been really good. Yeah, well, the Post is the Post. But the funny thing is, these guys off the record, they will tell you their bosses are shady.
Enough of the riffraff. Okay, you're with the high quality, team at the Right Mind show now. Okay, let's just move it. I mean, seriously, now you're in the big leagues. Okay, this is the real deal here. Okay, no, you're right though about the black community? Because I mean, it seems like the Democrats, that's their thing. I mean, they've been doing this for decades. They promise different groups, especially the black community, certain things, and they just don't follow through with it. And I think it's great that people are finally coming around to that, and we're going to get some change.
Well,
let me ask, Andy, first of all, let me
ask
this, though. I mean, because you're talking about the audit, and for those who have not been following along at home, the audit itself, explain what you're trying to do here. You're getting signatures, and go ahead.
Sure. So there's a Missouri statute that allows any citizen of any municipality to collect a certain number of signatures based on the last general election, which I believe is 2020. Obviously, we just had this one, but this was based on the past. And once that happens, you trigger what's called a performance audit. So cities do have financial audits every 2 years or so, and at the risk of offending some of your audience of the folks that are auditors, look, a lot of this is you give me money, I tell you your numbers add up. Now, numbers adding up and balancing is not the same as did the money go to where it's supposed to go, right? We've had massive water increases in the city of St. Louis. The rumor/truth is that money is not actually going towards water. They just ran out of money and wanted to find more ways to get money. There's road bills that have been passed. Our roads aren't any better. There's the whole issues with SLDC and where they're spending money, and it seems it's going to their friends. The big truth of it all is there's a lot of people in charge of St. Louis City have taken money, given it to their friends, and they're sitting on real estate up north because they expect it to eventually go up in value. Well, that's great, but as most people in real estate or even normal people know, you can't just buy land and sit on it. That's arguably been the problem in St. Louis for a long time. Someone needs to start building, developing, right? Even as a conservative, I'm not really a huge fan of government spending and investing in people, but there's been so many grants over 80 years that's just been stolen. It's gone in the wrong hands. It should go in business owners that have a good business, that know what they're doing, and they're actually going to be able to grow their business with the grant, not just steal the money, right? Or just park it in land and wait for it to be speculative, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, I'm going on a rant here.
No, you're
The point
fine.
of it all is I think that, and I've come to a realization, and I think Trump showed us the way here, that we need to think outside the box. And, look, I hate government spending. I hate, giving grants to people. But I think that community has been so decimated that as long as the grants are going to the right people and not the former mayors or the current mayor or their friends and their family or whatever who just started an LLC to steal money, right? Then it's reasonable. But you want those people to be self-dependent and, independent. And that's the friends I've made. They want that too. They don't want to live off the government. They want to have their own business.
And that's their whole go-to. They want to make you dependent so that they can control you. And it's great to see that that's hopefully coming to an end. Well, as far as this audit goes, now it's obviously an independent audit. Who is going to be actually going forward with this and really going through the books of the city of St. Louis?
Sure. So the state auditor comes in, and I will say, look, I am not a very big fan of any government in the state of Missouri. I think a lot of them are incompetent. There's a bunch of stuff I could share that I might get sued for, even though it's true. But anyway, what I would say is I will say the state auditor has been very impressive in the way they do things, and he has a generally fair reputation of not being tied to some of the corrupt factions of the state from a political point of view. So what happens is they, if the Board of Elections thing goes through and we have enough signatures after they've thrown some out, which I am hopeful it will be, we'll litigate if it isn't, then what happens is the state auditor comes and the city has announced, Tashar has announced that they will work with the state auditor since this is what citizens want. And then they start looking at the books, and they pull the money from the city. The city itself pays for it, and they've got very clear to people when they sign the petition. I don't know how long it'll take. If I had to guess, it's probably going to be released in Q1 or Q2 of obviously next year. And then from there, there'll be a large report. And my guess is there might be leaks along the way and whatnot. And look, the press is, there's a portion of the press. There's a certain channel that, I don't know if I'm going to say it, but there's one channel in St. Louis that is very, very dirty that has already signaled they intend to help defend the corruption. Mm-hmm. There's other channels that aren't. Now,
you're talking about television? You're talking about television channels?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. There's a channel, and I can tell you off the record, but I'm a little nervous to say because they have bigger pockets than I do in terms of suing. But watch, because you'll be able to see real quick who defends and who exposes. And some of these news networks are willing to go after the other channels for their corruption. Let's just say somebody put somebody on a board that came from one of the news channels, which was a huge signal of what the hell are you doing? Oh, you're going to fight this? It's going to be worse. And the funny thing about this, Todd, is I think if even they try to bury this locally, we're going to have new FBI. We're going to have an FBI under Trump and whoever ends up being in charge there, right? Now, historically, they've not been good. I think he's going to clean house. As much as I think those organizations should probably be shut down in the long run, let's use them while they're around. because there's a lot of people that need to go to jail.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, as far as what are there certain things that are just jumping out that you want to have investigated first? What are those?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for asking that. So there's been over $1 billion in a combination of COVID money, ARPA money, that came in, and the Rams settlement.
Mm-hmm.
The city of St. Louis has never had $1 billion in its history, right, in terms of being able to do something productive and helpful with it. So where'd that money go, right?
Right.
There's been SLBC is something to pay a huge amount of attention to, and Neil Richardson, I actually filed an MEC complaint against him, and our governor did not fill the MEC with enough people, so they just let it go. That's just something that's very important to know from the state level of what's going on. By the way, Tashara and Parsons are friends. We'll just leave it at that. So anyway, so SLBC, there's the water money, because our bills have doubled since I moved to the city of St. Louis about 7 years ago.
It's incredible.
And it's nuts, right? And obviously you should look at MSD too, but that's a different situation, more of a regional situation. But, there's the road bond I mentioned, and then I mentioned SLDC. So one prime example, the Post actually had an article on this. $38 million went to generally black business owners up north. And if you dig into the money, some of it went to places I think are legitimate. Some of it went to places that are questionable. Some of that becomes an opinion. But when you see, I think the fourth largest recipient was one of the older person's family.
Really?
That starts to, yeah. And if you look up the companies that it was given to, they were started a month ago.
Yeah.
We're not a VC firm. The state isn't, this money isn't supposed to be, the city isn't supposed to be a VC firm, right? If you're going to invest in something that has a business that has a plan to grow more employees, grow the economy, grow something for society, as opposed to just pocket the money. So I think they're going to find a lot of property corruption.
Yeah, and another thing I always find fascinating or annoying or just bewildering is that whenever they do have, especially when it came to the Rams money, we have to put together a committee to decide what we should do. And I'm thinking, a committee? What? Can't you see that we have potholes everywhere? Everything's a mess. And I'm wondering, who are these people on the committee? What exactly are they doing, and how much are they getting paid for it?
Yeah, well, and to your point, it's just all up. Keep everybody in the circle, slosh the money around. It's corruption. We could call it all kinds of words. It's just different versions of corruption and slow playing things, hoping the public doesn't look. The truthful matter is our political class is a criminal class, 90% of them. And I know there's outliers, and I don't mean to trash all of them. The good ones I apologize to. But by the way, good ones, speak up, because people need to hear what's going on, because I think it's 10,000 times worse than people even realize.
No, you have to. You absolutely have to, because you're right. There is so much corruption, and it's you have certain people that say, well, nothing I can do. It's been going on for years or whatnot. But I think you actually can do something, and that's what. Let me ask you this. Now, say, okay, you blow the lid off the whole thing. Everything. A lot of this stuff comes out to be true. What do you think is going to happen after that?
So it's funny, because people always ask me if I want to run for political office, and the answer is no, but I would if I thought I could be impactful. Mm-hmm. I do not think I can be impactful right now, because the system is so corrupt and the people are so clueless of how bad it is. To me, they need to be informed on how bad it is, so then they can make more aggressive decisions on what needs to happen. At that point, I would then maybe be interested in running, or someone else, and I don't need to. I'd let someone else at any point. Mm-hmm. But my point is, I think there will be, obviously lots of media reports. And I think we're going to have to force some of the mainstream media to report things, though some are already ready and realize they can actually grab market share if they report the truth. Hey, surprise, surprise. Mm-hmm. I think there will be criminal investigations. I will tell you, our state is not set up very well for white-collar and political criminal prosecutions. It's almost like they did it on purpose. Mm-hmm. But you got to remember, there's an FBI. And the FBI, I don't think, is going to let this. Also, remember, Trump is not going to send money to these cities that have been squandering money like the Biden administration did. These cities are going to have their belt tightened, and it's going to suck for a really bad time. But we need to get back to being able to support ourselves locally, and obviously have the Fed stop taking all of our money. That's another story. But I think it may be the chance to start cleaning house and, make us be more like a Nashville, or Atlanta's not a great example because it's corrupt, but it has grown a lot, right?
Sure. Well, Nashville
I hope it is. I hope it's the beginning of, look, North St. Louis will get better. It's not going to happen overnight. Some of these people, I think, have overinvested too early. I think within 10 years, you're going to see a much different city. But people have to know what's going on and make better decisions before that happens. And what I mean by that is the conservatives need to know more what's going on. the liberals need to know more what's going on. I still think voter fraud's a problem. I think people need to. I think Trump won by 70%, 75%.
Yeah.
I think there's states he won that we don't know what's going on. And I think the next 4 years is going to be information drops. It's going to be people being shocked, and I think it's going to be people either changing their opinions or disappearing because their opinions become, irrelevant.
Yeah. When are we going to finally? When do you think of the next time you come on? Do you think we're going to have? What are you expecting? I mean, given say the next couple of months.
Well, I'm hoping the audit gets completely certified and we're good to go, and then they start working on it. And I know that if you follow, and I can come on and tell you a few things too.
Sure.
You should watch the homeless bill they just released, by the way, in North City, because that's about to become a shit show. They walked into shit and they don't know it yet.
Oh,
but sorry, I don't know if I'm supposed to be cursing. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
Anyway,
you just killed the 90-year-old listener that we had. She says, "Please don't cuss on the Right Mind Show," and you just killed her. But that's okay.
Well, it could have been a lot worse. So sorry. What I was going to say is, my hope is, I think the media is realizing they need mainstream, right? Needs to realize they need to start reporting on this stuff because, quite frankly, citizen journalists are eating their lunch and stealing their market share, which is fine with me because fragmentation can be good in things like media and information. But I think what you're going to see is there's going to be increasing scrutiny on City Hall, and obviously there should be in the county, in St. Charles too, by the way, but that's another story for another section. But what I was going to say is I think there's going to be more pressure put on them. I think you're going to see them try to defend themselves because they're so crazy they don't know when to give in. I'll be honest with you, I don't think this is going to be a result of the FBI or the feds come in because I think it is so big, and I think it ties into the Republicans too and some of their corruption. And I think you're going to find that stuff is just so bad that the only people that can handle is some degree of federal intervention, which I don't necessarily always agree with, but we're set up for that right now. Until we fix ourselves as a state to have our own ways to do stuff, I think that's there's going to be chaos and there's going to be bad things before there's good things. But that's just how things are built, So
that
sorry
sounds
if
great.
That's negative.
Well, to me, it sounds like a great movie plot, and we can make it at the new studio we're building up on the north side. You can do the soundtrack with your
awesome.
music studio. It'll all be fun and games, and we'll have a good time and live happily ever after, right?
Awesome. Thank you, Todd.
Thank you, Andy. I appreciate you joining me. We'll talk soon, okay?
You have a good one.
You too.
Take care. You too. Bye-bye.
Oh, what'd you think of that, Joey? He had a lot to talk about, and he was fired up because he was dropping some dirty words.
Mm-hmm. Not a fan of the dirty words.
Get
the
to the
FCC's
dirty- No,
going to
we have-
shut us down. We're going to be audited.
Yeah, well, on top, we have Velma that lives up. I mean, I'm not going to say exactly where she lives, but she always says, "Don't cuss on the Right Mind Show," and that's how she talks too. I mean, she has yeah, she does. And I say, "Don't worry, Velma." I assure her. And what does Andy do? I think he can't. I think her eardrums exploded.
Velma, live from the Mystery Machine. We got to get her on the case.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Enough about it.
She can solve all the St. Louis ghost problems.
Yeah. Dude, I didn't think she was very hot. There's people say certain things.
For a cartoon. Not very hot.
Oh, there's not certain. I mean, are there any cartoon characters that you think are hot?
Betty Rubble.
Betty Rubble, yeah. Well,
not in the movie, though. That was Rosie O'Donnell
No,
in the movie.
not at all. No. Well, the Family Guy's wife, I mean, everybody makes a big deal about
Lois.
her. Lois. I don't think that's, no.
Her voice actor, Alex Borstein, is about 3 feet tall, so that kind of...
Ernest Borstein?
Yeah.
Alex Borstein.
Alex Borstein. She's about 3 feet tall, so I don't like picturing her when I'm fantasizing about Lois.
Yeah. No, I don't really picture any. I don't fantasize about cartoon characters. I draw them, but I don't draw them to fantasize.
You must have been rich in elementary school, drawing all them nudie pictures.
I did.
Huckleberry Hound, and people are buying them for a quarter.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I didn't even put clothes on them.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, we're gonna have a lot more fun when we come back. But in the meantime, I'm Todd Schowalter, along with my good buddy Joey V. This is the Right Mind Show. We'll be right back.
Coming up next on The Right Mind Show with Todd Schowalter, Gary Weigert on holding Mary Elizabeth Coleman accountable for the passing of Abortion Amendment 3 in Missouri. Welcome back to The Right Mind Show with Todd Schowalter on NewsTalkSTL. And now a man who doesn't know much about the stock market, but has most of his investments stored in men's vests, Todd Schowalter.
And we're back. I'm Todd Schowalter, along with my buddy Joey V. And sitting next to me now is somebody I've known for a long time. Good friends. We weren't in the womb together, but we were pretty close. Gary Weigert, who is, by the way, the reason Donald Trump won the election, but I'm going to let him talk about that. Gary, how are you, my friend?
It's all good.
I'm
glad to be here.
Sitting here in the flesh here, and you have so much to talk about. I mean, first of all, you with the grassroots caucus coalition that you put together that I was a part of, and again, I was really honored to be because I'm not invited to a lot of groups. That you ended up spearheading that. Donald Trump ended up winning, so again, you can take full credit for his success, but I also understand that you're spearheading something else. You want to talk about it?
Yeah. So I've put together a motion for the Republican Central Committee, and that's to censure Mary Elizabeth Coleman. I got that idea from watching what they did to Liz Cheney out in Wyoming, I think, where they censured her. So I saw what Mary Elizabeth Coleman did with the Amendment 3. She had a chance, and it was really two big important issues for her on her that she was going to put out to a vote to the people. And that was to limit campaign financing from out-of-state groups that come in on these amendments. You know, when you finance a candidate or a politician, there's limits on that, but it's unlimited when you want to come in for an amendment. So I heard they raised like $33 or $35 million to get a yes on Amendment 3.
Yeah, right. And they've done that before, though. This isn't the first time. I mean, the whole marijuana law, the same type of situation. But you're right. I mean, from what I understand, and that was such a hot amendment, by the way. I mean, with the abortion and everything else that was attached to it, I voted against it, obviously. But you had outside sources and money that came in, getting names on a petition. And a lot of times these people didn't even know that were taking the names, didn't even know what they were doing. They were just high paid, usually $35 an hour to get names. They didn't know. I asked somebody outside of a place like this, Fresh Time place, and I said, do you even know what this is for? No, I'm just making money. And so that's what they do. And so you want to put an end to that.
Yeah, so Mary Elizabeth Coleman, she had a joint resolution. It was a bill basically to stop that financing and also to when you vote, that all the votes just don't come out of St. Louis and Columbia and Kansas City. And it would, I think she had a majority, you had to win a majority of the congressional districts votes. So she had that on her bill. She had a chance to what's called call the previous question. And that is where you stop the filibuster. She wouldn't do that. My understanding is she had the signature. She had the 18 senators to had signed on to that, and she refused to turn it in. So then she kicked it back to the House and basically killed her own bill.
Why? Why would she do that?
I think she received a lot of pressure from a lot of money to do that. I mean, she's a big pro-life champion, and let's face it, it's IP reform. It really wasn't a pro-life bill, but it was a pro-life bill because we knew this was coming.
Right.
So I think she probably I know that she had received $240,000 from Rex Sinkfield in her prior election, and that didn't go into her campaign account, but it went into her Senate PAC that's set up.
Right.
And that money came in basically to defeat a guy named Jeff Rorta, who had been a 4-term Democrat. He had been in the House, and then he ran for Senate as a Democrat. Well, now he come back and he ran as a Republican, and he was against school choice. So I think that's why Rex pumped money into Mary Elizabeth campaign.
So it was like a payoff type thing?
I think Rex depends on IP to go. If you have a lot of money, you can hire people to go out and get signatures. You can go out and advertise.
Right.
So a lot of people that throw their wealth around, they don't want IP reform. The St. Louis Cardinals and all the sports betting people, they didn't want IP reform.
Yeah.
So they had they were pumping money into it. And I think she, I just don't think she could pull the trigger on it.
Okay, well, what would happen if this goes through? When you say she's censured, would that mean that she can't? What does that mean for her?
Well, what it does is it says, hey, we do not like what you did. You went against what our beliefs are in the Republican Party, the Central Committee, and we're censuring you. We don't want you to do this type of behavior again. So it's kind of like what Liz Cheney, when they did it to Liz Cheney, they didn't throw her out or anything, but they let the voters know that this is unacceptable behavior. Yeah. And so we had our vote in St. Louis County. I lost that 11-17.
Yeah, right.
But we may have lost in St. Louis County, but we won this. So I had someone from Franklin County, Roger Jackson. He basically copied my bill or the motion that I had made, and he got that passed out in Franklin County.
Okay.
So he got that done. And I heard there's other places that are probably going to follow suit and make motions against her.
Do you think? I mean, because that was a big deal with the earlier session last spring. I mean, is that something that's has a better chance of going through the IP reform this time around?
I believe so. Now, there's some people in the pro-life movement who don't want that. They think they can come back and win by also getting the when you get this vote, you need 50% plus one of the public to win. So you just need a simple majority when it goes out to a vote like that. And so big money can come in and really change voters' ideas. So I know some people in the pro-life movement, they want to keep this active, but I think it's wrong because the next thing they're going to come is going to be our guns.
Yeah.
And big money will come in. They will get the signatures, and then we'll be voting on whether an AR-15, whether you can carry an automatic weapon or not. I assume that's what they're going to go for.
We could do it with anything. I mean, you could basically bring in outside sources with big, deep pockets, and have any type of legislation that you wanted. And it seems like so illogical. I mean, why are we even? I mean, we wouldn't. It's almost like having other people if we're in another country. Like we wouldn't go dump money into like say France or England or something like that to influence their elections. Why would? I mean, how are any other states? Are they in the same situation besides us?
Well, I believe so. Well, in our election, I heard some dude from Switzerland pumped in $3 million.
Yeah, no, a lot of outside money. I mean, a lot of outside
Soros money. So I think Ohio was similar to us, and they lost that on the abortion issue. Florida has something like I think their threshold is 56% or something like that.
Right.
And really, that's what I think we should have, something like that. Instead of the congressional districts, you got to get a majority of them. I don't know if that's constitutional because I believe in one person, one vote. So what I think you do is you just raise that threshold to say 56% or 60% or something, but it shouldn't be so easy to change your constitution.
That's exactly right. I mean, that even goes back to the marijuana situation. I mean,
yes.
That was I didn't really have a big, I didn't have much skin in the game on that either way. I mean, I didn't really care that much. But the fact that they could actually come in out and change your constitution over like getting signatures on a petition to get something on a ballot, it seems awfully simple. I mean, it's scary that it is.
Yeah. So at that time, when they did the marijuana, I was lobbying for Show Me Cannabis at the time. That was a number of years back.
Yeah.
And I believed we should have done it through the legislature.
Right.
And that's the way I was working it. But a lot more money can come in when you put something on the ballot because you can raise a lot of money, and that's essentially what they did. And I think it was 35 pages long. So do you really want 35 pages of marijuana legislation in your Constitution? I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, going back to Amendment 3 again, once that did not pass, I mean, I personally got a lot of people that I know are very upset about it. Obviously, do you know? And this is outside your ball game. Let me know. But I mean, as far as just because it passed, I mean, does that mean? I mean, what if they don't pass a budget for it? I mean, doesn't it require a budget?
I don't. I'm not sure where we're going with the budget. So,
well, I mean, if they pass this, I mean, a lot of the things in that bill, from what I understand, were state funded. But doesn't that require a budget to state fund something? I mean, couldn't the House of Representatives, the legislation say, well, fine, we're only going to approve a budget of $50 for it. Now we can't do anything. I mean, is that something that may be a possibility?
I think so like the Planned Parenthood stuff.
Right.
My understanding, this allows funding for Planned Parenthood. So, there's a number of things. I think they are, from what I hear from talking to different people, they are going to work the periphery of there's a lot of open interpretation. And I think we're going to want to come back, who are pro-life people, and pass some kind of laws that say, hey, look, we are going to define about some of the, what do you call it, the crazy stuff with the genders.
Yeah, right. Because even that fell under, like they said, taxpayer dollars to pay for some of this stuff, which is just absurd.
And the what do you call it? The blockers, the
puberty blockers.
Puberty blockers.
Right. Yeah.
So we can come in with legislation to alter that somehow,
right.
so that way we don't pay for it,
right?
Or maybe your health care doesn't pay for, or something along that line,
right? Right.
So there's things we can do on the edge, because there's a whole bunch of there's so many things in that bill that is open for interpretation.
No, I agree. And we've had people, during the election season on talking about it. And I found out, along with, late-term abortions all the way up until birth, which is just murder. I mean, I think abortion's murder anyway, but I mean, that's just, blatant murder at that point. You have all these other things that are built into it. And people don't, I mean, even people that I know were voting for it, just on the surface, they thought it was an abortion issue, didn't even realize what they'd actually voted for. All the other things that are going along, they were also included. And that's why when you go back to the IP reform, aren't these things that just even, I mean, could you just basically get a petition to, for anything to get on an amendment? If I have enough money and I can get enough signatures, we can decide that, Thursday is going to be Friday now and Friday is Thursday. I mean, and just absurd things.
Well, this is the craziness. This is, I guess, real democracy at work. Mm-hmm. But you cannot let the majority always vote on this, because the minorities will always be left behind on that. So we're in a republic, and we elect our legislators to go down and pass these bills,
right,
or to suppress some of these bills.
Yeah,
and that's what we should go with, not this stuff where we just keep throwing money at these majorities.
Right,
and the money for the most part will win.
Oh, of course it will. Of course, especially when you're paying some kid $35, an hour that doesn't even know what they're doing. They'll make you sign it. Practically. I mean, again, a lot of times, and that was the case. People didn't know what they were signing, and the person getting the signatures didn't know what they were getting signatures for. And it was basically, it was a joke. But that was legal, and that's what they're doing. And it doesn't make any sense to me, from a common sense standpoint, why this is even an issue. This should just be blatantly not acceptable.
Well, and years ago, because I've been fighting IP reform for about 8-10 years.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And many times Republicans went with this, because they're like, hey, let the people's voice be heard and stuff. Right. But really, it's let the donors' voices be heard.
Yeah, right.
And it's the people who are financing this.
Right,
it's just a way to go around a legislature that won't give in. And so you just keep going to that.
Total money game. Well,
yes.
Now, going back, because we've had you on the show several times before, one of the things we always talk about is that, you're a former police officer with the city of St. Louis.
Yes.
30 years, I believe?
35.
35 years. Since the last time we had you on, it doesn't seem like the crime situation is getting any better. If not, I think it's actually getting worse. I don't know why anybody in their right mind, pardon the show name, would want to actually go into the profession when you're, like you said, you're not getting paid well, and anytime you have to do your job, you might be sued.
Correct.
I mean, why? What is the motivation there? You had this new Amendment 3 where they're going to give doctors immunity for things when it comes to medical. I think the police force should have immunity when it comes to enforcing the law.
That was one of the big things about when St. Louis, when the state was in charge of the police department, when we got sued, and I got sued a number of times. You would get sued. You'd be defended by the state would come in and defend you.
Right.
And sometimes they'd assign cases, and the city would do some of the minor cases.
Sure.
And they also defend you financially too.
Okay.
And so that's a big part of it.
And they don't do any of that now.
No, now they're totally out of it.
It just doesn't make any sense. It's like they're for the criminals. I mean,
well, I don't even understand how they fire. I've had policemen now who've been fired. I don't even understand how that process works. It used to be an open hearing where you'd have four police commissioners and the mayor, and they'd sit in on your hearing, and it would be open to the public. Now the hearings are private, and they're done through the city, and I don't even understand how they do this anymore.
It's really
but
corrupt.
The results aren't good.
Yeah.
They're purely political.
Yeah, it's a shame, too, a real shame. Well, we're down to our last 2 minutes, actually, and one of the things that I wanted to bring up that a lot of people, our listeners, did not know is that you're a former radio celebrity yourself. Yeah. And I was at a party the other night, and you were there, and crazy party, by the way. Those always are the craziest parties, but I won't go down that route. And you brought up that you had a radio show, and other people at the party were like, oh, yeah, his show is great. And I'm like, what? What? I didn't know anything about this. So you're a radio veteran. Tell us about that.
So I was on WGNU for 6 years.
Yeah.
I had a show once a week while I was on the police department. It was mainly police issues.
Okay.
And the police loved calling in the show, making fun of each other with anonymous names and everything. It was a call-in show, really.
Okay.
I would give a little monologue, little 5-minute monologue about what's going on, basically with crime and some politics and city stuff. And then people would call in. I'd have different politicians that would come on.
Okay.
Mainly from the city,
Right.
and I had school board people on there. And I thought it was a pretty lively show. I thought it was
That's
good.
what I understand, and I'm sorry that I didn't hear it, but is that kind of why you're here today? You want to take over this show?
Well, yeah, they told me up front that your days are over,
I
and they
knew-
wanted me to bring me in.
Joey, did I not say that when he was sitting out there? I go, this is good the day we get the axe, because he's going to want to take over the show.
Next, you know, I'll be guest hosting. And
Pay to
that's,
play, my friend.
Yeah. That's how it works in St. Louis here. You know, you got to pay to play, right?
You know, that's how I got on WGNU, because there was a woman.
It's always a woman.
She was bad rapping me every show. I was like, who is this girl? So I called the show just to complain. It's like, who is this gal?
Yeah.
Making fun of me. Her name was Liz Brown. She's passed away. She's no longer alive anymore.
Well, she's not going to sue you.
But yeah, she was all over me. So I
Really?
called, and next thing they brought me in, it's like, well, we want you to have a counterpoint to this.
Really? Okay. Okay. Well, hey, that's kind of how we got the show here, didn't we, Joey? I mean, Liz, and then we said, but we said this was after she died, but we still used her as an excuse, didn't we?
Yeah, on the weekdays they have all the smart people on, and they needed a counterpoint for the weekends.
For the weekends,
so,
you
got to even out the
For the
station.
slower people, not our listeners. And then they found out our listeners are really smart, and they said, wait a minute, maybe you shouldn't be on at all. We got to get Gary in here, and maybe, you know.
Kind of bump it up a little bit
That's
for you.
exactly, kind of brought the IQ through the roof a little bit. So that's why you're here. You did a great job, and I'll be cleaning out my locker. So anyway, well, thanks for joining us, Gary. It's always a pleasure. It's great to have you here in the flesh, and if I don't see you soon, it'll be at another one of our friends' parties. I'll see you before that. Yeah.
All
right, buddy. Well, thanks so much, and we hope everything works out. I guess we should sign off. Does Mitch want to do anything? No, I don't think so. Let's just go. And, you know, like I always say, if you don't have a right mind, you don't have a mind at all. This is Todd Schowalter along with my bestest buddy, Joey V. This is The Right Mind Show. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to The Right Mind Show with Todd Schowalter. To find out about all things Todd, go to StudioTodd.com. We will see you next Saturday night at 5 p.m. right here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL, and always streaming online at NewsTalkSTL.com.